that was a mind-blowing experience because there's a spot in Buddy Guy's, his Club Legends, where he likes to sit, and it's down at the end of the bar next to the wall there. And my buddy Todd, he nudged me and he said, "Hey, there's Buddy sitting right over there." I was like, "What the heck? He's just hanging out just with the rest of us?"
It's the Blues Rock Show with Pete Francis.
Welcome to the Blues Rock Show. I'm Pete Francis. Today I'm joined by Hector Anchondo. We are in Omaha, Nebraska, and we are at In the Market for Blues, which you founded. Where did you get the idea for that?
Well, in 2014, my band won the Nebraska Blues Challenge, and we got to go to Memphis for the International Blues Challenge. And when I was down there walking around on Beale Street, I couldn't help but notice that it looked almost identical to the old market here in Omaha, Nebraska. And so there was an easy leap from there, and I thought that the old market would be the perfect place to have a blues-style pub crawl festival. And I brought the idea to my friend Emily Cox, who is in the Omaha area, and she is so talented with organizing and doing festivals. And she liked the idea, and we just started putting it together. And later that year, it started out in 2015 with 2 venues and 3 bands each.
And so we're here now. There's over 30 bands, and they're pretty much from all over the place, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Regional, national, and international.
And how many years has this been going on for? This
is the 9th year. Yeah, which is pretty incredible to see, in 9 years what it started out as and where it's where it's at now.
Yeah, when you were starting this up, did you ever think you would get this far?
No, I wasn't sure. It was just starting it up to have some fun and get friends together and have some good live music for, the Omaha scene. And this is definitely has exceeded my expectations for the festival in the beginning.
What initially drew you to blues?
I'd say it's the expression was probably the biggest thing that drew me in, because that was the part that spoke to me, was the expression part of it, because I heard, you could hear somebody's heart and soul in it. And personality, and I'm a big fan of any music that has either one person or multiple people's personality in it, I just love that. And I was gonna say, regardless of genre, even though I love the blues and I love music in general, but any music that has somebody's personality in it is instantly gonna make it unique, and I'm in.
You went to Chicago to learn about the blues. How was that experience, and what was that like?
It was a really great experience. It was a humbling experience. Chicago is a beast on its own, but it was a wonderful learning experience with, gathering the different subtleties of the blues style in the Chicago scene. Made some friends out there in the in the blues world that they're out there still doing it. And I'd get out there and participate in some of the jams. Rockin' Johnny, I would go to his shows. Johnny Bergen, I'd go to his shows, and he would always have me up to do a couple songs. I had a buddy that Todd Fackler. It was a pickup bassist for a lot of bands like Rockin' Johnny or Tail Dragger. So he would get me in at the shows at Buddy Guy's Legends. Yes, he would get me in there, and I was, busting tables at a Cuban cafe, so I didn't have money to just buy tickets to go to those shows. So it was really cool for him to get me in on the list, and I met Buddy Guy for the first time there, and it was a great experience.
Yeah, what was that experience like? Obviously, being into blues and then getting to meet Buddy Guy for the first time.
That was a mind-blowing experience, because there's a spot in Buddy Guy's his Club Legends where he likes to sit, and it's down at the end of the bar next to the wall there, and my buddy Todd, he nudged me and he said, "Hey, there's Buddy sitting right over there." I was like, "What the heck? He's just hanging out just with the rest of us, you know, the rest of us low folk." And Todd was like, "Hey, he's really cool. Go say hey." So I went up to him and said hey, and we, you know, shot the breeze for a second, and that was cool. It was blues royalty.
Did you let him know that you were a musician?
I did. I think I led with that. You know, hey, my name's Hector. I'm a guitarist as well.
Yeah, and it's really cool, all the things that he's done for younger musicians, up and coming musicians, and you know the platform that he creates for them is a really cool thing for sure.
It is. I'm always seeing either people I know or people I don't know where Buddy is getting up there on stage with them, and that's a big deal for up and coming musicians. And Buddy just gets up there pretty often, which I think's pretty rad of him.
Looking back at your time in Chicago, what was the biggest lesson that you learned?
I would say I learned a lot about the competitive side, even though I've been doing this since, you know, 99, even earlier, 90. I started out playing in 96, and I always knew that music is extremely competitive. I don't think it should be competitive because it turns out there's enough music fans out there for everybody to have, you know, a fan base. But it is extremely competitive in Chicago. It was the most competitive that I had ever experienced. So it gave me a new perspective on the music scene in general, because outside of Chicago, Chicago's not alone. I'm sure the other cities like New York and Nashville are probably, I imagine, just as competitive. But outside of that, it made me see it in a different light. Like, hey, it's not as competitive as that, and you know, and it gave me some new confidence, you know, about not having to worry about things being as competitive when I moved back out of Chicago.
Yeah. A big moment for you in your career, going to Memphis, winning the International Blues Challenge. What did that do for your career?
It really, you know, like I said a moment ago, I've been doing this for almost 30 years now, and most of that time has been kind of just under the radar, even though I've been playing shows constantly, you know, just about, especially as soon as I started doing it professionally. But mostly being under the radar, it put me it gave me a little bit of a light to, and for folks to see that I did exist outside of my fan base, and I have a wonderful fan base, and some of my fans have been there since the beginning. But it was nice to get in that light for, you know, the blues world's eye for a moment, and a few times since then, and that was the nice part about it. You know, it felt like, okay, I do exist in this scene.
Who are some blues or blues rock acts that inspire you?
Blues and blues rock acts, I would say blues rock. I would say I really like Guthrie Govan, even though he's not blues rock. He's more, I'm not sure how to describe him. The words are kind of escaping me right now. But Guthrie Govan does have a lot of stuff on YouTube where he is playing bluesy rock, like a jazzy blues kind of hybrid style. And I love that. I'm a big fan of his. I'm actually going to get to see him in Kansas City here in a couple weeks. He's in a band called the Aristocrats. So he's a wildly talented guitarist. And blues, I really like some of these, Chris Tone, Kingfish Ingram. I really like him and his style and his fresh take on things. And I like. This is a hard one because it's hard to think of everybody.
Yeah,
I'm pretty much a fan of everybody. I'm especially a fan of like I said, personalities, but if somebody's cool, then I'm a fan, and I listen more closely.
What do you think is the biggest challenge or obstacle that musicians face today?
I would say making a living is probably the biggest challenge. It is hard. It's always been hard to carve out a living as a musician or artist in general. But I would say today, with the way that social media is, I'd say with the way the economy is, and the way streaming, all these things that are working against musicians, I'd say that is the number one challenge. And kudos to anybody out there making it happen. I feel really lucky to have the opportunity that I have to make a living at it. But I don't make a living. I make very little off of my streaming online. I make my living just out there grinding it out.
What do you feel is the most rewarding aspect of being a musician today?
The most rewarding for me is just seeing the look on the fans' faces, and while I'm playing live, and seeing that, making that connection with the fans is easily the most rewarding thing to me. Is just giving them that experience and having that experience together and making folks happy. That's the reward.
Let's talk about songwriting. What's your approach there?
My approach is kind of like all the above. Sometimes a song starts with playing around with some melodies on the guitar, and all of a sudden, something might speak to me, and it'll start developing from there. Other times I'm driving down the highway and a lyric comes to mind, and I'll either do it through voice to text, or if my wife's cruising with me, I'll have her write it down and then text it to me. Other times I kind of think of the melody and a lyric at the same time. It kind of happens in all different ways for me, which I'm pleased about that, because I think it would make it harder if it was mostly one way. I look for all ways. Reading, I read in some songwriting books that just looking for titles makes a big difference. So if you find a good title, it kind of gives you a good focal point, and the song kind of writes itself. And I've found that to be true, and that's something that I've used as a tool for quite a few years now, which I think is pretty neat to discover those, like the tools like that. It's pretty
absolutely. Cool. So what's next for you? What are you working on?
I'm working on new music, and I'm always working on my craft. I just love to just work at woodshed. That's my thing, and writing has been the thing that I've been working on the most, because through the pandemic I haven't kind of stopped me in my tracks a little bit, slowed me down a lot, just starting to try to build out of that COVID financial hole. But things are getting rolling, and working on new music and making plans to get in the studio to get the next album out.
Awesome. Anything else you want to add, or anything else you want to get out there?
You can find more information about me at hectorblues.com or any of the social media platforms. And I think that's it.
All right. Hector Anchondo, go check him out. This is the Blues Rock Show. I'm Pete Francis for Hector Anchondo. We'll see you next time.